In this video, we're gonna cut all the bullshit and get straight into our initial thoughts of Skogul and Goresh pre-release. So, Skogul and Goresh are the two new heroes of the next patch, and Skogul can be obtained through the hero spins, while Goresh can be obtained via the Strongest Lord event. Both can also be obtained via the Riches of the Forest. Skogul is an infantry hero specializing in infantry, PvP, and mobility. However, in the patch notes released, it states she is an infantry, PvP, and tank. Goresh is an infantry hero specializing in infantry, rally, and tank. However, in the patch notes, it says that Goresh is an infantry, rally, precision. So we don't really know what it is exactly, but I believe it falls in line more with the patch notes. Now, let's answer the question, which hero is better? Well, in this case, both work similar to the release of Cindrion and Freygar, where one of them buffs the other. In the case of archers, it was Freygar buffing Cindrion, but in here, it's Skogul buffing Goresh. So TLDR, Goresh would be better. Let's now dive deep into Skogul's abilities and finally answer, how good is she really? Skogul's rage skill provides vigor from 5% to 15%. She also provides Blood Fury, which deals additional counterattack damage every second to all legions at close range when they launch a normal attack on your legion. However, they take 15% less counterattack damage from Blood Fury with each additional target. This can go as low as 50%. My overall thoughts is that it's completely weird. It acts similar to an AoE artifact with damage decreasing with more targets, but only applies if you're in melee range. Generally, you're being hit by archers and mages from afar, so you really need a skill that closes the gap. We'll talk more about that later. Furthermore, Hosk is also an alternative. Hosk provides 30% vigor with 20% attack, and other buffs which also improves counterattack, so I would say this rage skill is similar to Hosk, so still quite good. Skogul's second skill provides infantry physical attack bonus from 5% to 20%. She also provides HP bonus from 4% to 10%. Overall thoughts are it seems to be especially good for counterattacks, and is more of an offensive march. It will generally have decent improvements on your counters. However, we do prefer defense over HP because defense on infantry is just busted, while HP comes in second place. Skogul's third skill states that while in field, Skogul's legion gains 60% march speed every time they gain Rampage. Rampage is the infantry skill gained when charging at a legion, increasing their movement speed. Skogul also gets 1% attack every time they launch a counterattack, up to a maximum of 10%, scaling all the way up to 25%. Think of it as an infantry march converting it into a cavalry march with the march speed increase and the attack increase. And this sort of ties in with her first skill, the rage skill, which allows her to close the gap and get to her full effectiveness state. Overall, I think this is Skogul's best skill because the time taken to get to melee range is much shorter, and have all of its effectiveness is more important than being tankier and being a ranged unit's punching bag. Skogul's fourth skill states that she has a 10% chance to receive a healing factor every 5 seconds. This scales from 150 to 350. My thoughts are that it's similar sustain relative to Eliana's Healing's Awaken, but falls short on the shielding aspect. It's nice to have, but not the best. And lastly, Skogul's Awaken provides 10% more counterattack damage. This just amplifies what you do to even greater heights, and it's like the cherry on top for whales. Let's move on to Goresh. Goresh's rage skill provides physical keen and resistance for up to 6 seconds, physical attack bonus to up to 50%, and damage taken reduction up to 15%. So the TLDR for this rage skill is that it is absolutely broken and overtuned. We haven't seen a commander like this before. Just for context, Hosk provides 20% attack, and this hero provides a whopping 50%. The whole reason why Gar would exist is not just because of the healing it does to your legion, but the 20% damage taken reduction for 4 seconds. Goresh can hit this 15, a solid number, but for an increased duration by 2 seconds. So overall, Goresh is looking far better than Skogul, rage skill department wise. Goresh's second skill provides a passive. For infantry units, counterattack damage bonus from 5%, scaling all the way up to 20%. It also provides an infantry unit defense bonus from 5% all the way up to 15%. And again, this is much better. We get more defense, better than HP for infantry heroes. Moving on to Goresh's third skill, which provides damage every time he counterattacks, he has a 50% chance to deal additional damage to up to 5 surrounding legions. Each additional legion targeted reduces damage taken by 15%, similar to other AoE abilities. Now, here is where it gets crazy. It can be triggered up to 2 times, so it can be triggered up to 2 times per second. So 2 times per turn. So if we have 200 skill damage factor times whatever, and we do some math here and there, here on the screen is the effective skill damage factor we get. Just insanely better than most marches, as we have a buff and high damage factor as well. Now, just note, this damage factor, although some of you might say that it's quite low, when it's used to its full effectiveness, this is damage factor every turn, meaning every second. Other people have damage factor whenever they cast a rage skill, but this is every second. So imagine the raw DPS this outputs. Now, his 4th skill provides an attack increase when besieging cities or strongholds. This ranges from 5% to 20%, and overall, I believe it's kind of weak in open field and really only good for rallying. We haven't seen many use cases for rallying in this game, so I just see it as a balancing ability to break even the overtuned first 3 ability he has. Now, his Awaken skill, don't get me started, it's insane. Remember, we talked about his rage skill being insanely overtuned? Well, from the 50% attack, we get up to 60%. Hello, Dave, what are you thinking? In addition, remember that 15% damage taken reduction that lasts for 6 seconds and only short of Garwood's 20%? Well, now it's equal and even better to Garwood, having a 20% damage taken reduction for a longer duration. Now, but if we compare this to Garwood's Awaken, which, Awaken Garwood, right? It has equal damage taken reduction for the same duration. So overall, thoughts comparing the two, Goresh is just better and Skogul is just as strong but not as overpowered. I believe these 2 new heroes are incredibly strong and probably a must pull if you don't have any infantry heroes already. Now for the artifact. Spirit Bone Torque is a must have. Even if you're not pulling for Skogul and Goresh, this is what you probably want from an infantry hero, just drawing in enemies. It also grants 600 rage points, which means our skill cycling is much higher, allowing for Goresh Daddy to just pound on enemies while forcing up to 5 surrounding legions to attack your legion for 3 seconds. Now, that'll be all for my video. I've made this video short and sweet, so drop a sub if you want me to make more of these, and I'll see you guys next time.